All right, so as you know, I'm approaching 40, and I've been reflecting a lot. Being a Black woman in business, a wife, a daughter, it's like juggling 1,000 hats at once. And for years, I thought success meant grinding harder and harder, checking boxes, making everyone else proud. But the closer I get to 40, the more I realize the new version of me isn't about doing more. It's about being more. Being present, being healthy, being at peace. There's this shift that happens mentally, physically, emotionally. You start questioning, what do I want to be in this next chapter? Not just as an entrepreneur, growing a brand, but as a woman, raising a family, loving your husband, helping my parents, and still remembering and nurturing myself. This episode is for every woman who's ever felt like she has to choose between building a dream, showing up for her family, and showing up for herself. I want to share what it looks like to embrace a new version of you that is more grounded, more intentional, more unapologetic about choosing your own growth. This topic matters so much to me because a year ago, I went through a mental breakthrough. I won't call it a breakdown, during which I learned to peel back the layers, slow down, and really observe my emotions instead of being so reactive and letting them run the show. I'm practicing being mentally present, staying in the now rather than replaying the past or rushing into the future. And on top of that, I'm prioritizing my physical health and fitness in ways I didn't before. I want to feel stronger, healthier, and more aligned so that as I step into this chapter of my life, I'm bringing the best version of me. So, this episode is all about stepping into the new version of yourself, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and what that transformation really looks like. Today, we're joined by the amazing Lauren Paige Woolard, a powerhouse publicist, communications executive, and advocate for diversity and women empowerment in the entertainment industry. Lauren's career spans some of the biggest names in media, from leading communications at Showtime and MTV to crafting major campaigns for Paramount Plus, Comedy Central, CMT, and many more. She's worked behind the scenes of iconic events like the VMAs, CMT Music Awards, Essence Festival, and New York Fashion Week, shaping the stories that define culture. A proud Howard University graduate, a New Orleans native, Lauren's journey began in luxury fashion with Cartier and Dolce & Gabbana, and has evolved into a career that bridges entertainment, multicultural marketing, and empowerment. She's been recognized as a distinguished communicator of color and one of Cablefax's most powerful women in media. She continues to mentor and inspire the next generation through organizations like Girl Wonder and MTV Storytelling Lab. Lauren is truly a voice for authenticity, representation, and the power of women owning their narratives. Welcome!
Welcome! I mean, girl, you really made me sound like something right there.
You are something. You're a big deal, girl.
Thank you. I think we're all big deals. We're all doing our thing. So
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to be here with all you queens.
All right, y'all ever feel like you have 99 tabs open at once?
Yes.
Always. It's actually quite ridiculous.
Girl, guess what? We need a mental reset.
Yes.
When that happens, it's just a reset, just like the phone.
Yeah.
And having just enough self-awareness to even come to that realization is so important. I mean, being busy and overwhelmed, we should never mistake that for being productive.
No, 100%. I think this culture has gotten so obsessed with the grind and the hustle, like that is like so glorified. So, you know, being busy and having 99 tabs open, that feels like productiveness, but really it's not. Like, you can have 99 tabs open and be busy, but like, what did you actually accomplish? Like, you were just doing things. What did you actually accomplish from all of that? So I think it's it's really quite damaging to us. And I know, like, for us, like Brittany and us too, I think we grew up in this like girl boss culture where it was just like, ooh, everyone's girl bossing. And I think while that was like great and very helpful to us, I also think it is like very damaging to us as like women and just human beings who, you know, need balance. Like, you know, you can't be, if you're girl bossing 100% of the time, like, you're burnt out.
You will burn out.
You will burn out.
And fast. And, you know, I'll get into a story in a little bit on how that burnout happened to me. But I was in a place, it's just like, how do you find the balance? And I think that is hard, especially in this society, in this, where we at, like, how do you find a balance to balance all of these things, especially if you want to go girl boss mode?
Exactly. And I mean, like, listen, you may never find the balance, because I think balance is subjective to everybody, right? Because sometimes you're in periods of your life where, like, your business or your career or the professional, it does have to take over a little bit more, or the family needs, being a wife, being a mom, like, that does have to take over a little bit more than, like, but I think it's just like a give and take with everything, you know what I mean? And like you said, it's a very like self-awareness to recognize that what needs give and take in your life.
Yeah, that's true. And now it's like the phones are playing a big contributing factor to just bringing more stuff to the overwhelming feeling and giving you more stuff to do, because it's like, oh, I gotta go and empty out my emails on my phone now on top of everything else. Like, is that really important? You know, so you kind of have to, I don't know.
That's really true.
Clear some of that clutter, that mental clutter.
Yeah, and I think one thing, like, I think that's so true what you're saying, because now we even realize, like, we do everything on our phones, right? So even like when you're looking to be productive, I realized that, like, oh, okay, I do everything with my phone. So I actually started like just taking it back real old school and like journaling and writing down my like daily to-dos in a journal to like cross off things off the list and just like adding stuff and like
I agree with you with that. And then I think that we don't really, now in this digital age that we're in, we kind of underrate and writing in itself, and it goes to the back burner because we want to pick the phone up and type everything in it. But when you actually use your hands, it's a hand-mind connection, so the mind-brain connection that you get to stimulate. But writing is also a meditative practice.
Yes,
so it's just, you can just be still and find your calm and kind of zen out while I'm writing.
And that's exactly part of why I started doing it, just like, also, so just to take me out of a digital space for a second. Like, I'm sure, we all get on our computers and do whatever, so I'm going to have to be digitally tapped in at some point. But just, like, actually sitting down to, like, write my to-do list out, it's been really nice to just take a little break from the screen, like, see it in plain view. I can touch it, feel it, cross it out when I'm done and stuff. So, yeah.
But just imagine, like, too, just the overexposure of the phones and the blue lighting from the screen.
Absolutely.
Having so much excessive screen time, what it does to the brain waves. That's another big factor. And just like the misfiring of the brain waves, and now and on top of all of that, now I'm feeling extra possibly overwhelmed from let's see, letting go of narratives. I think that's an important thing. That right there will get you stuck, just holding on and clinging to the old narratives. I'm not ready, and I can't change. Like, you don't want to. No.
There we go.
You're not ready.
That's the thing. You can't, or you don't want to. That's the biggest question. In a lot of like my devotionals and stuff that I've been doing in this period, like, they've been talking about that, like, letting go of how you speak about yourself. And I think that we don't realize how much power is in the tongue and in things that we speak. So it's like, stop saying that I can't, or I won't, or I'm not, because like, you're putting that energy out into the universe. You know what I mean? Like, even if you feel like you can't, you should just be, hell,
you better hype yourself up.
Trick your mind. Like,
gas yourself up.
Gas yourself up.
Yeah, you have to.
Absolutely.
You say that, and immediately, like, I think of The Matrix, that scene where Trinity, she falls down the stairs, the agents are after her, she has on this leather all into one jumpsuit, and she is on the floor, she's shooting, and she's trying to get up, she wants to get up, but I think it's like fear that's kind of holding her back, that the agents are going to be right there. So she tells herself, Trinity, get up.
Yeah.
Get up. You know, and then she gets up. I find myself telling myself that in the morning. Brittany, get up. Because if not, I'm going to keep hitting that snooze button. And I can find a ton of excuses. So yeah, banish those limiting thoughts and narratives. I think that is just primary for building a growth mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, in doing that, you really have to start the practice, and while you're putting off all those other limiting narratives and thoughts, extinguish the fear, the doubt, the disbelief in yourself.
100%. I feel like there are so many people, I think, we're all Black women sitting up here, especially as Black women. There are so many people already out there that are against us. We can't add to it. Like, we can't make ourselves against us. There's enough people in the world that are going to do
what's it's hard? It's just the programming. When you've been programmed, it's on the TV, it's on the radio, it's in the music, it's in the food.
Yeah, it's in the food.
At this point. But it's a constant practice. It's not that these things like, you'll wish it away and it'll instantly go away. It's something that you have to be aware of and constantly work at it. Recognizing, stop them from crystallizing and solidifying into an actual circumstance, because that's what'll happen. You have these limiting thoughts and beliefs. And then, like, hold up. You got a whole situation in your life that you're looking for somebody else to hold the accountability for that. And it's you the whole time, because your mind has created, this. You're constantly creating your construct. And it's just like, man, the mind, how powerful the mind is. So it's like, once you realize, like, hold up, I'm architecting this whole life. Do it accordingly now you have the tools to whip out the paintbrush and say, I don't want that here, I want this over here. But like, you pick up the device again and you start to see things, and you start to kind of want that type of instant gratification for yourself, and you start to yearn for these things, and you forget what you can do on your own.
So what helped y'all get away from that mindset?
For me, it was life. Life will be your teacher. And once I started reading books, and I started with the Bible in itself as just a manual for me. And I just started to pray. I'm like, what, God, just give me divine knowledge, intelligence, wisdom, inner, under, and overstanding. I want to tell you, like, it started like an initiation process, and it just like layer after layer started to peel back. I started to realize certain things at certain levels, because it's like so many times we have God trapped inside of a box. And we want to put him inside of the Old Testament and the New Testament. But inside of that book, it says, when you're ready, I will add unto you. So it's more that is out there, but it's only until you're ready. When the student is ready, the teacher will come. So I can't, give you certain
church.
She preaching, ain't she?
But honestly, like the scripture said, you can't cast pearls into swine. So I can't give you all of this wisdom, because it's gonna sound crazy to you at first, because the truth is stranger than fiction. And if you really realize, like, okay, these are the things, it's gonna go over your head. Because if let's just say you're in a mindset and you're in a baby mindset, So I want to take you up here, but right now you're right here. That's going to require the inner work, but you have to realize that. And that inner work is what's going to take you from the petty mindset into God is like, how do you want to move? And it goes through the heart. So it's like it's portals, the mind portal. And that's what we touching on today: the mental, the physical, and the emotional, the heart, the mind, and the soul.
I love that.
That's when you start to, know how to navigate these avenues in life. It took me up until this point. You're still young, Clay. It took me up until this point to realize, like, wait a minute. Everything that happens, every person I meet, everybody that's in my life, every circumstance and event, it's a byproduct of my thoughts. And if you keep thinking a certain way, if you keep doing a certain thing over and over, you're going to create this perpetuated cycle of life events. This is going to keep looping almost like every day. You just reliving the same day over and over and over again with the same people. You get stuck, you know, like we mentioned this. So it's like, oh, how do I get unstuck? Tap into the mind. That your mind is your control center. And I feel like that's what's going to program your body. You know, it's the mind. It's the motherboard. Like, I'm just looking for the word for it. It is the motherboard. And once you reprogram the mind, which is the beast, tame the beast, and the body has to follow behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Love that.
So, yeah.
Love that.
And then it's a domino effect. Where the mind goes, the body will follow, and the soul.
Very much so.
So it's like before you say something, before you speak something, it already has passed through the 3 chambers: your heart, your mind, then your mouth, your body. So it's a mind, body, spirit connection. You know, that's what I'm.
I mean, you're
on.
constantly evolving. You know what I mean? It's not like I think Brittany and I, we've had a lot of life and we've had a lot of experiences to get us to a point. But I mean, we're still like learning. You know what I mean? Like I think people think that like once you get to a certain age or point in life, like you just have figured it all out. I'm refiguring it out. Like right now, I'm like it's a constant like evolution, because the person that we were in our 20s and the person I was in my early 30s is like, now I'm evolving again, and with that, like all the lived experiences that I've had since then have now made me the person that Lauren is becoming now at 37. So,
you know, people always want to say like, what would you give to be 21 again?
Yeah,
nothing. I don't want to be 21
I
again.
don't want to be 21 again
because I was doing a lot of stupid foolery.
Yeah, people always like, oh, I would love to go back to my 20s.
No. You know, I feel like it just feels so good to be at a point where like, you know what, I'm wiser. Like knowing what I know now. Because people think that they attribute youth and beauty to being young and, you know, a certain age, but it all starts from within. So it's like, oh, wait, you're almost 40. Like, yeah, because, you know, have a light heart. You'll have a light, you know, I don't care how many creams and potions and lotions you put on your face, how much Botox and things like that. If your heart isn't purified, if the mind isn't aligned, then you're going to look 52. You're going to look worn out. And those fine lines. I've seen people 90, 100. They look good and have a light in their eyes that lets you know, like, you know what? You lived a good life.
Yeah.
You are, you know, a ripened age, but you don't look it. You look really good. And they look better than people, you know.
That's younger.
Much younger.
So true.
So
I've seen a lot of like, you know, older people, women and men, and you know, they moving and grooving. Like, you know, I'm like, that's how I need to be.
That's how I want to be. You know, I want to be fun and still have like a childlike.
Exactly.
You know, so.
Yeah.
I think that I can probably touch back on when I had a breakdown a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people, and I say it was a breakdown, it took me a while to like really like reconcile with that and like say, you know what, this is what that is.
Yeah.
And man, this place was so dark, and I look at that now and I'm like, a lot of people, this was never meant for them to come from out of. And like I said, life will kind of give you these initiation stages. And this was like almost like that Job moment for myself. Like, you know what? You say you ready for this? You say you want to be advanced to the next level? Well, here you go. And everything was snagged from under me, and I was just in this dark place.
Oh, honey, I feel like I'm going through it now. Of like, I mean, just like
you out. You are out.
Yeah,
I was strapped to the couch.
Not in like a dark place, but like going through it where it feels like, okay, like God said, like, you are going into another phase and chapter of your life. Everything you did before was great, but that is not where I ever meant for you to stay. So because you are getting too comfortable in this stage of your life and this stage of your success and your relationships, I have to snatch those from you.
It's uncomfortable.
And we're going to rebuild it from the ground up, because you were not meant to stay there. And you are getting too comfortable there. And that is a very uncomfortable place to be at when, like, God is calling you to something higher, and it's time to elevate and time to leave a season and version of yourself that, like, you've known forever. Yeah. And sitting in that period of, like, growth is real. It's always shaky. It don't always feel good there. You know what I mean? But it's like, and being obedient and understanding, like, okay, I'm going towards a higher purpose, a next chapter of my life. Like, I feel like I'm more excited in the uncertainty, and you know, it's like a very weird feeling to have.
But you have to be excited for it, and you have to just like rest in the unknown. Like, I don't know what's waiting for me, but I know it's something good, because where my heart is and where my mind is and what I want for everything, like I'm this person. I love everything and everybody. And I'm like, I just
you've
have
always been
so
like
much
that. You've always had such like
love.
a big heart.
I have, and I can't help it, you know. And I just want to be mean sometimes, but I can't, because it's not in my genetic makeup.
Yeah, and
I
think that's beautiful.
I just want to
girl.
wrangle
Like,
somebody.
Don't let the world harden you. And
No,
you've
you
always been
can't.
a happy person, even at our like when we would go through like horrible ass times at our high school. Like, you would just walking around there so happy. Now you're like, she really loves this place. She really loves
hated
this
it.
school.
I hated it. Let me tell you, high school was the worst experience for me. I hated every day of every moment of going to high school. That's probably why I didn't go to the reunion. Because I'm like, why am I going back? Like, I'm moving forward. I don't want to see these people again. But, you know, sometimes you have to read.
It was a tricky thing for me to like, because I was like, I don't know if I want to go. I don't even really talk to that many people that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
I was like, but I'm just gonna
go.
I'm just gonna like
just
go.
go.
And it was great. It was like a good time, but I felt just like you. I was like, I don't really think I have much in common with these young ladies anymore. We went to an all girls.
We went to an all girls high school, so you can imagine the drama. Every day was
Catholic high school.
A Catholic high
all
school.
black.
Oh yeah.
I was going through it.
Oh yeah. High school of hormones. It was tricky. It was tricky for the reunion for you, but it was tricky going to high school. Yeah. So touching back on my whole little episode, it was just it's so familiar, because it was just a year ago, and I'm still like recovering from this thing. And for me, it was just a compilation of events. You know, everything was just building and building, emotional, just trauma and just luggage, and I just wasn't managing it. I was just disregarding open wounds, and it was just it was taking up a lot of real estate internally, and everything just dismantled at once. And one day I just woke up, and when I tell you, if hell was a place, I was in it. In it. And literally, I tell you, I would wake up in the middle of the night and just stand on the side of the bed and rock back and forth, because I was scared to lay back down. Like, this is how. So my spirit, my soul was conflicted, but then my body started to get lashes from it as well. And then my heart rate is shooting up, my blood pressure is shooting up. I'm like, I don't have blood pressure issues. Why is my blood pressure, this high? And I mean, when you're going through like periods and moments of grief, and you don't really get a moment to process. So I was saying grief that was unprocessed for me. Yeah. So I lost my grandmother. We lost my brother-in-law. And I felt like in this period, I had to be the strong one for everybody, especially when we lost my brother-in-law. I was like, I just had to stay strong for the kids, because I was like, I wasn't sure how that they were going to process this. This was an uncle that they were very close to. Like, he was like a paternal, like another, if I could say, another version of dad for them. He was there every day, and I'm just like, how are they going to deal with this? And I'm like worried about them. I'm worried about Mike, because this is his brother that he like talked to and interface with every day, and I'm just like so concerned for everybody else. And I never processed it for myself. I just kept keeping myself busy, kept disregarding it, and just like, man, like overnight that thing just came and grabbed me by the back of my head and just slammed my face on the desk. That's how it felt. And it was just such a heavy doom and gloom that was over me. When I tell you, I was confined to the couch for probably 2 weeks. I could not move. I was paralyzed, and I'm like, this is not me. And I kept saying, this is not me. And I'm just trying to pray myself through it. I say, you know what? Praying isn't enough at this point. Let me fast myself through it. I couldn't sleep. And it actually drove me to the emergency room, because I was up for 3 nights in a row. And after the third night, it's like that day when it happened, I'm getting all emotional. It's just like my heart rate sped up, and I just started. I was trying to stay calm and tell my mom, like, Mom, something is wrong, And she was trying to stay calm. And the kids, I'm like, I gotta gather the kids, because it's gonna take too long for the paramedics to get here. I thought I was having a heart attack. My heart, the watch started alerting. It was like 180, my heart rate. And I was like, God, if this is it, and then I just, not in front of my kids.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So yeah, I'm just on the way and I'm praying. I'm like, you know, trying to keep myself calm. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm this, and I'm trying to give myself all these live affirmations, and it's just not working. My kids, here it goes again.
You got it, girl. You got it.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I'm in the ER, and the doctor says, when's the last time you went to sleep? And I was like, man, I haven't slept in 3 days. He said, you need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So he gives me a tranquilizer, and I'm like, a tranquilizer? You know, this is 1 milligram of, I think it was Klonopin. And it knocked me out.
I said, you went to sleep then.
He said, you don't need to go to sleep for just tonight. You need to go. He said, it's going to take you a few nights to catch up on all the sleep that you have lost. He said, you know, because you don't sleep for just the body. It's a mind thing, too. The mind has to rest.
Did you really
and recover.
sleep like through like?
I did, and I had to, and I'm just like, still, I'm in the backyard, and I'm like, God, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm looking for the answers. It took me over a month, and when I tell you, I felt like Job, like everything was just getting stripped from me, and I was just getting broken down layer by layer. I'm just like, what do I do? I'm looking to the trees and to the birds, just anything at this point for a sign or an answer. And then, like, as clear as the wind just hit my face, it just says surrender. And Nita calls me and she said, hi, Brittany. Nita was here last week and her little happy voice. And I just was like, I didn't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. I'm like, hey, Nita. You know, I'm beat up at this point.
Yeah.
And if you've ever undergone, like, a spiritual whipping.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, I voluntarily go through this. But when you have to go through it, in an involuntary state.
You hadn't asked for it.
And you hadn't asked for it. It's just like, you better girdle up your best waist trainers, all that stuff, because
literally
it's on. And so at that point, I say, you know what? This is a confirmation. It's not just delusions now at this point. Nita done called me out the blue, and I heard this voice. You know, it's just not in my head, because this was happening, and I'm seeing stuff that's not there. And I'm like, I see how people can lose their mind in just a split second, because it's happening to me right now. And I'm having these thoughts that are not my thoughts, and these things is just, it's not me. But I have to be able to be familiar with myself enough to know, like, this is not me. You know, and when I said this isn't me, and I'm just like looking, and I'm just crying out at this point, and I'm fasting. I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, I'm surrendering, and I surrender at this point, and it's literally like, I don't have nothing else to lose. So if this demon that's tormenting me, if it wants me dead, just go ahead. I'm divinely protected. And if you want to kill me, if you are greater than I am, kill me.
That's right.
And then everything started to change. So,
but I feel like that surrender was the first step of, like, you actually showing up for yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever I'm doing is not helping the situation. So, like, I have to take me out of it, and, like, God, I let you take, like, full control.
Surrender is a big thing, because especially when you're this person has been conditioned to, you know, have control over everything, and like, oh, I got this right now, I need to do this today, I need to do that, I need to do this. And, like, you constantly on the go and on this, like, on demand. I don't know what to call it. And, like, now I just have to just let go and just, like, learn to flow. Like, that is hard.
Oh, it's so hard. That's like literally where I'm at right now. Like, I am so used to, like, having everything, and I'm a very solutions oriented person. So if there's ever been anything in my life that I don't like, I'm unsettled with, like, I change it very quickly.
Yeah.
And I figure out a solution. So it's like when God calls you to a space where, like, there is no solution, or he does not want to give you the solution yet. And it's like, you can't move before him. You can't, like, you're just like, okay, all right, I have to stop. I have to, like, be obedient to whatever that is, wherever it's a very, like I said, uncomfortable and unsettling place, but it's like, there is a bit more of, like, a peace when you just, like, let go, because it's like, I think that, like, inner warfare a lot of times comes from all that pulling and pushing and that back and forth that you're having with yourself. And so it's just like, I'm really in a season of, like, all right, God, we flowing. Like, I don't know where we going, but I'm
here for the
ride. I'm here for the ride. I trust you. Like, let's go.
that spiritual conditioning, it's like, it's so much work that's required, and a lot of people just don't want to put in the effort.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fasting, the praying, the meditating,
Yeah.
the journaling, just to climb out, especially like once you're there, and to climb out of a hole, it's like, whew, you're so full of gratitude once you get up out of that
Yes.
thing, and then you just have so much clarity when it's all said and done.
So much clarity.
So it's just like, that's how I get to this point, Quay. Like, you asked that earlier, like literally going through it, and then shit.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, surrendering. Like, I mean, when we go through these periods, like, you will really realize how strong your faith, you know what I mean, and whomever you believe in, but like, you have to really cling tight to that faith, because I mean, that is literally how I've gotten through it all. Faith, having a really, really good support system. And that's like, yeah, sometimes you can't do anything but like go through it. Like, you have, as much as we try to avoid it, like you have to go through it. And it does feel so much better once you go through it and get to the other side now. But like, you have to go through it.
But you know what? I feel like what I went through, like, God allowed me to go through it, because he said, I know she's strong enough to deal with this, 100%. But I'm about to really test her, because it's like the authenticity test for gold. It has to withstand the fire to be 100%. Proven real gold. They're gonna put the little acid on there, but they're gonna run it through the fire, and if it comes back, then yes, it's gold. So
it didn't break you.
It didn't break you.
It's still here.
And diamonds are created under pressure. Most of the elements, formed under very heavy processing. Yes. So it's one of those things, and it's just like, you know what? He knew the whole time, but I didn't know, because when I told you I thought I was about to crack, I was 2 seconds away from saying, let me go and commit myself and swim into asylum, because I don't know if this is normal.
I don't know if I'm coming or going. You know how our elders, I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Yeah,
like,
I was
there. Really understand what they meant by that now. Like,
I was there. Like, if you just showed up to my house, or you were like, who the hell are you? Where is Brittany?
What's going on up in here?
Where is Brittany? You're not her. So yeah, and so I guess to parallel with that, the body keeps score of every emotion, every stress, every time you say yes when you need, when you really meant to say no. A physical evolution, and it just starts with listening. When you rearranged the letters of listen, you get silent. I just realized that. I was like, wait a minute, I realized that when I was just.
Yeah.
So
that's so true. I didn't think about that.
And I think that we forget, like, the body is a vessel, and what do vessels do? They hold things. They hold the stories. They hold the energy and all the things that we never said out loud. And if you don't nurture it, I mean, everything else within that realm is just gonna start to fall apart. And you witness it, or you witness it, you going through it. I've gone through it, and it's not that I went through it. It may happen again, but now I feel like I'm more prepared.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. What about you, Quay? Have you ever had it?
Going back to your question, I'm trying.
You're trying to what?
I'm trying to get through what y'all already experiencing. I'm trying to get there. Get through it.
Get through it. Are you like, is it a life event? And I'm asking not to be nosy or pry, so you don't have to tell me any details. But I mean, if I could give you guidance, I sure enough can. Let me tell you this. I know, and I want to say this, and I don't know if I should even voice this, but I feel like we've all kind of been there. Bree, I don't know if you lost somebody, close to you, but when I lost my grandmother, like you, like Molly, I was at work. In fact, I was on the table being a test dummy, trying to train somebody to wax, and I get the most insincere phone call. And when I got the phone call, all I could do was hang up and just like scream. That's what I did. And I think that reaction from me towards everybody else, that was like, what's going on? And they're mumbling and murmuring, trying to find out what's going on with me. And I just came back to work like nothing ever happened, like everything was normal, because I felt like that was what's expected for me to do. Like, that's what everybody was expecting me. I mean, in that time, like, they knew, because my mom she came up here to be with me, but everybody else was still expecting for me to, well, I'm not coming to work today, I'm gonna be late today, so I'm still having to show up for these people. I'm still having to show up for clients, so I had to put all of this to the back. It took me maybe 5 years after my grandmother's passing for me to realize I did not grieve the loss of my grandmother. And that was a part of the breakdown, the breakthrough, And I'm like, so that's the one thing I want to tell Molly, it's just, and to tell you, process the loss.
Yeah.
Have yourself occupied, but not over occupy yourself to the point where I'm not, not really processing this for myself and sitting with my own grief, because the grief is that point of confusion. Like, I don't have a tangible person to project my love towards anymore. So where does that go? I have to find that space and connect with her in a higher sense, in a higher realm, in the spiritual.
Do you feel like you're getting the chance to process?
Because it's still fresh for you,
I mean, I'm still...
You never get over that.
I mean, it's like a everyday thing. I have my days.
Yeah.
Still trying to work through it,
But I say, don't let somebody else just constantly throw off your, you dealing with that in your heart and your mind, and keeping yourself just distracted.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. It was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be distracted with it, and it's not that I said that, but that's what was happening. And I got that too, because I was like, I started to go back into the event, and I was like, my grandma had me to do all of this for a funeral. She wanted me to do her makeup and her hair and to be over this and her accessories and her clothes. She had everything picked out, but I was just like, why me? Why me? And I got to the point, I was like, why not me? She knows people gonna jack her up. My grandma was a very dark complected woman, and she went to a white cemetery, a white funeral home. Them people was gonna have her in the wrong color,
she was looking like a ghost for real.
Wrong hair, wrong, everything would have been off. But when I tell you, she just looked like she was at peace and resting after she just looked like she was smiling. So, but I'm going back to just processing that grief and just having that moment to yourself, because people can be very insincere and they're rushing your process. So when you coming back to work? When she coming back to work? Because I miss my girl and things like that. You can wait. She's gonna be here. And if you can't wait for it, she'll be back.
Right.
I'm speaking for myself. I would have been back, but I forced myself to come back. And even, with my brother-in-law, I'm just forced myself to continue on, because I didn't feel like I had an option to step back and deal with that.
I think that's what it is. I feel like we just don't have the option to sit there and just...
It's stuff has to get done.
Life still got to happen.
And you know what? I think too, again, going back to the first thing we ever talked about, I think sometimes this is where, especially for women of color, and I'll say for black women, that superwoman complex, because it feels like we have to do everything. We have to tend to everything. We got to make sure everything's good, but we don't get the time to really sit down and sit with our feelings, sit with our thoughts, and sit with the things that we need to sit with for ourselves. But we're so worried about making sure that everybody else is good. So we sit there, like you said, unprocessed grief, processed trauma. And what you were talking about when you were going through your grief and breakthrough, I kept thinking about that, because I have a very close friend who has been, going through that unprocessed grief and trauma. I'm talking way from her childhood.
Oh, wow.
That still is unprocessed. And it's really come to a head in the past year or so, and she's seeing it show up in her body breaking down. She's having all these different, in her mid 40s, so not still very young, and she's seeing her body break down from different things. And she's going to the doctor, they can't figure out different stuff that's going on. And in my head I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, it's the stress, it's the trauma, it's all of that attacking your body.
It'll attack your body, your nervous system.
Yes.
And people say, they don't believe these mental aspects of your life and situations will manifest itself into physical things. But I mean, it can play out as rheumatism in your body, something as just simple as harboring old emotions. And that's been proven with this high blood pressure, constantly bottling up things, and it needs a fuse to outlet all of these, this pressure.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I mean, I was just gonna say that I don't think people realize how much grief and trauma and mental issues and stress, how it really can attack your body. Yeah. And your body starts breaking down, and I think that's at the point where I would look and just be like, okay, I gotta stop. I need to do what I need to do for myself, because even if feel like I'm mentally dying inside, I can't allow my body to die. Like, you know what I mean? I can't allow my body to break down. So I do think sometimes it's unfortunate that we feel like as Black women, we can't ever have a moment to just ourselves and like handle the mental and emotional and spiritual things we need to handle for ourselves, because we're worrying about doing it for everybody else.
I think that's a part of the programming, and that goes
Yeah.
way back in our culture.
Way back.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, when you see that childhood traumas and things show up for people, especially like by the time it has manifested itself into relationships and things like that. You're in a relationship with a person, and you're like, hold up, you have abandonment issues that go back to your dad. That has nothing to do with me, but why do I have to catch the bullet?
Listen, Listen. Ciao. Yes.
Yeah. And like that's just, so now not only is you as the person involved with the person with the abandonment issues have to deal with that, but that person is still like, it's afflicting their life, and it's effing it up. You know, do they realize it? And if they do, what are they willing to do to change it for themselves? Like, you know, and it's just one of those things. A lot of people just say, you know what, I want to blame everybody else.
Oh yeah.
But they don't want to go inside to figure it out. That shadow work is hard.
It's very hard.
It's hard, and nobody wants to face, you know, I think growing up for me in my grandma's church and Baptist, we were always taught that the devil was something outside of ourselves. Oh, it's the devil, you know. When you go in and face your inner demons and do the shadow work, you realize, like, hold up.
Yeah, the devil can be right inside
There's
of you.
a demon right here that I'm dealing with, and it's just riding me. You know, like they have the cartoons of the angel on one side and the devil on the other. Yeah, just like that. It's riding me, and it's right there. So yeah.
Healing. That's about
Healing. Yeah. You have to want to heal, first of all.
Correct.
But just in wanting to heal, you have to be consistent, because some days you want to be healed, but then you miss those toxic people, and you want to jump back and bring them back because they were fun. You know, oh, this was fun, or you thought it was fun. That was your perception of fun. I feel like too, it's not about perfection. So if you do jump back into the old people, it's almost like the 80-20 rule. As long as the majority of the time you're focusing on healing, you can make some progress towards it. It's one of those things, like persistency will get you there, but consistency will keep you there. So It's just like, okay, if I'm persistent, I'm gonna start the pursuit, you know. But if I'm consistent, it's gonna keep me there. And I think that just moving into consistency, you're gonna be met with a lot of roadblocks that you'll have to eventually overcome. That's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I think healing is a journey, right? Like, you can't expect to be healed in a month, 6 months. Like, I mean, shit, it might take you like the rest of your life to fully feel like you're healed. But it's like, it's a journey of like becoming. You know what I mean? And like,
it's not a destination.
It's not a destination at all. And I think everyone's healing journey, you know, looks different. But like I think you said, like, you have to truly like want to heal. You have to be in a space where like you're ready to heal. You can't force anybody to heal faster than they want to.
You know what that's like? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but somebody ever woke you up before your alarm clock went off?
Before you ready to wake up? That shit is irritating.
Yeah. So it's like, just because I have my alarm set for 5:30 don't mean you want to be woken up for 5:30.
Exactly.
Like, your alarm was set for 6:45 and you want that additional time. So it's just like a healing process. That person, they may have like a chronological clock set for them to heal at X time, for them to wake up at X time. And if you try to come in and stir some interference between that alarm clock, they get so mad. You know, they get mad at you. And, you know, you get the brunt of that. It's like, what? I was just coming. You say you wanted to heal. I'm here for it. You know, but that wasn't what they had set for them.
Yeah. I think so too. Why you said, like you just said, that people, a lot of times when people are going through these different processes, you get it thrown on to you. I also think that that's why it's important to also maintain levels of boundaries, because there's a lot of time when you're trying to help people walking through healing and all these kind of things. But a lot of times when people are going through healing or they're not ready to heal, you know, you will get the brunt of what they are disgusted with in themselves. You know what I mean? Like they always say, like, you know, heal your wounds before you bleed onto someone that didn't cut you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think I've learned that just because I'm such a person who's like a giver, and I like to make sure that everybody is okay and feeling okay. And, you know, it's just when I have different friends and different relationships and I recognize, like, okay, they're going through a healing journey, where it's like, okay, like there's a certain level of like like, you know, I
you
need
say
to give
boundaries,
them their space,
and
like
I totally want to jump into boundaries in just a second with the emotional reset part of it. You know, those boundaries,
they're very hard.
Yeah.
It sounds much easier than it's like, oh, okay, it's easy to tell people what what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do. But like you put that into action, into like real life, and with people that like you might not be used to having boundaries with, or you might not, let's be real, you might not want to have boundaries with. Yeah. And it gets a lot tougher and a lot harder, but it's also a part of like recognizing your worth and loving yourself more than you love the representation of yourself. You know.
Yeah. Just real quick, I want to jump back into like the healing, the roadblocks and things like that. And I think we're talking about consistency. I think that it's important to note, like, not every day you'll be motivated to fervor on, but I think that that's where discipline will be required to just, I guess, help you to structure that consistency that's going to keep you accountable towards the thing that you want, which is you want the healing part of it. And then us, I know for a fact, like, we do it often because I hear it all the time, but our comparisons, we compare ourselves, and we never realize it's you versus you.
It's you versus you. I have literally been trying to sit with that like these past couple of years. That has been my thing, because I mean, like, let's be real, y'all. People say like don't compare, but it's hard when you live in a digital age, right? Because you're on Instagram and social media and you're looking at people constantly, and that's just the age that we're in. Like, nobody's not about to stop being on social media. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, it's just, we are in the age that we're in, so we recognize that we are online more, watching, you know what I mean? And that automatically you compare yourself to people. So I almost feel like, again, like we were saying with like boundaries and comparisons and stuff, it's like, how do you put up those almost kind of like those boundaries, or like, what do you do to stop yourself from, because sometimes you can be comparing yourself to somebody and like not even knowing you're doing it. It's just like, oh, I'm scrolling being like, oh, she has X, Y, Z.
I think that's just a part of the brain's natural processing, but if you can like hurry up, recognize it, and shift it, then you know you put the power back into your own hands.
Yeah. And
you said that we get through scrolling and things like that, friends, followers, whatever. We have to remember too, and that's what I was about to say that I forgot. Like the people that we meet during our healing phase, they look a lot different from the people that we bonded with through our like traumas.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta like let those people go. So just unfollow them. Unfollow those people, because you don't want to like stir up those old people from the past.
Yeah.
And, you know, you start missing certain elements and aspects of those relationships and kind of fall back into the loop. Like, eventually, your energy starts to resonate a little different, start to vibrate a little different. They don't even want to be bothered with you. You don't even realize it, because you used to be hung up on the sentiments of the relationship itself. But you just start letting people go. Either they'll just unfollow you. Like, she dressing different. I don't like it. Unfollow. You know, they'll unfriend you. I've had that happen. I had that happen. Let me tell you, at high school, going back to high school, it was really rough for me, y'all. I was dealing with acne, like my physical. I was very
that rough for you. Wow.
It was bad. Like, oh gosh. But I had a lot of like self conflictions with myself and like body imaging and things like that. So in my early 20s, I said, you know what? I'm going to take my appearance into my own hands. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start doing these things. And I start to be really aware and conscious of the things that I put into my body. So much so, I probably got a little bit obsessive about it. And that's a whole nother topic about obsessing about stuff. They would call me Calorie McKenzie. That's how bad it was. Yes.
Really?
Yes. So I remember, like, I used to hang out with these girls, and oh gosh, you might watch this. But I used to hang out with these girls, and one day I was just like, I'm cutting back now. I'm eating. I'm counting calories because it was bad. I was very obsessive over calories, and I had a strict amount that I would eat, and I had the macros down to the point of a milligram. But I said, hey, girl, you want to split a honey bun? She's like, bitch, I don't want to split no honey bun. If I want a honey bun, I'm going to get a whole one. I want my own honey bun. I was just like, damn. Do you know, like, I got unfriended. Like, I was just, it wasn't over the honey bun.
Like, God damn,
it wasn't.
She really wanted her own damn honey bun.
It wasn't a friend to begin with, right? But not over the honey bun, but it was just the fact that I was starting to change.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Ooh,
just
reprogramming
my mind and my habits. They hate when you change.
They hate when you change because and they don't have anything to do with it. They can't claim any part of your success, or you're not that person that they can remember and manipulate or whatever. Ooh, boy, they hate a change. They hate when you change.
You know what? Because your no, it becomes so abrasive to them now. It's like, no, I'm telling you no for my protection. That's a boundary.
She thinks she's better than
and
do.
Like
and do. Actually, you don't have me wrong. I do think I'm better.
I am better. I'm supposed to be.
Right.
Damn. Yeah, so going back into I don't want to forget this, y'all. Just going back into the roadblocks. I got one more. And I think that one excuse that we constantly find for ourselves is time. No, I don't have time. You know, when will I make the time? Like I start to realize, I'm like, you make the time for the things that if you really want it bad enough, you're going to find the time to do it. But at the end of the day, do you remember, like, in physics, when you took physics, we had a formula.
That's in the
took it.
I don't know if I took it.
What, 9th grade? I think no, biology was 9th grade.
We took
10th grade.
Physics for us was in 12th grade. Well, we took it in 9th grade, but we took it again in 12th grade. But you had an option to take it in 12th grade because you could take like anatomy. Yeah. Well, in college we had to take physics again. That's why it's so fresh to me, because I guess college was more recent than high school. I don't know. And then my major is just, I kept having physics. But physics, we had the velocity formula. Y'all probably remember this. What is time? Time equals, was it
familiar?
Well, it was time equals density over velocity. Or was it or speed? You may remember the time equals density over speed. So it's just like, well, what does that mean? Time isn't an absolute reality.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember that shit.
Time isn't an absolute reality. This is something that man came up with, right? If you have a formula for it, that means it was invented, it was created.
I believe so.
So it's just like, it was a framework that we created to measure change. Humans build clocks and calendars.
Yep.
And so when you say you don't have enough time for something, you know, it's just, I mean, you just imagine, like, you determine how fast or slow time moves. You can stretch time out, or you can condense time. You know, so you ever been having fun and like time flies by?
Always.
But when you bored out of your mind, it's just
fast
like,
the summer flies by. The summer flies by so fast because we be lit, having a good time.
So time is completely subjective.
Oh, I 100%.
And that's what I'm saying. What feels like a minute in the summertime can feel like an eternity in the winter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, stop putting shit off. You know,
yeah,
say,
it's just an excuse. It's like
an excuse.
We create all these
I'm gonna wait till Monday.
Yep.
I'm gonna wait till January.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait till, like, you've been waiting.
Then you keep on waiting. I mean, that's literally, I mean, like I said, going through now, it's been like, oh, you know, always have an excuse. I always had an excuse for why I couldn't do this thing that I wanted to do or whatever.
That was me.
Use, oh, I'm too busy. I'm tired. My family, like, always have an excuse. And I
not just any excuse either. You come up with
the best,
a real good one,
real good excuse.
So it's a heartfelt excuse for yourself,
and it sounds like you have made yourself believe this excuse, and like, okay, like, this sounds legit. But like, I truly do believe, like we said earlier, like, that's why God sometimes has such. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's your excuse. Okay, take it, gone. What's the next one? Okay, take it, gone. Like, what's now? You said now here, like you said, Job completely naked, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't have any more excuses. Like,
none. It's now or never, bitch.
You know, it's now or never. It's now or never. Like you said, you against
you, and that's me talking to myself, y'all. That's the voice in my head. Like, it's now or never.
Oh, you really, like, I can guarantee some people probably think I'm crazy because even, like, in my car, I really be, like, sitting there talking to myself.
Yeah, you have
like,
a conversation.
Having conversations, and they say don't answer back. Shit, sometimes I have to answer back. Sometimes, sometimes we really be in a real tussle.
Yeah, you know what? Because you know why? You ever, like, think to yourself and you hit. So some people don't have this inner thought.
Really?
Some people don't have the thought inside there, and I really question, do people have souls? I don't know. But when you can hear the voice inside of your head, when you think it's something, you say something to yourself.
Yeah.
Who is that voice? And then, like, it thinks something, but then you can answer that voice.
Then you can answer
I feel like it is the higher self.
Yeah.
So you remember here I go again with these course classes. When you
shit, you paid attention in school.
I did. But you know what?
You really paid attention in class, because I'm like, girl, I don't remember shit I took in high school.
Stuck around for the long term, but when I needed it to pull the files up for the damn exam, couldn't find it in my mind. But it just, like, locked in there. I tell you that, explain that. But in philosophy, you learn, like, the super ego, the id, the super conscious, the super conscious, and the consciousness. And I just feel like those are different layers of the mind, and that you have to access. But it's just in there, that super consciousness. I really feel like that's the higher self. That's the God mind. That's the Christ consciousness that everybody wants to attain. The Christ conscious, the Christ, the Buddha, the Krishna. 100%. Like we put all these personifications on them, but this is really what these things are.
At the end of the day,
and reaching these certain levels of enlightenment and light angles. I don't know, that's going on a whole different tangent for another day. But yeah, I was just like, man. That's just what that is. So.
Ooh, do y'all feel like dreams have
a significance?
Yes, to
that. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Some people don't dream, but I dream every day. That's crazy.
I feel like some people don't dream. A lot of people, the dream, it escapes them because the minute that you pick up the phone, it just that blue light fries the dream.
That's one thing I stopped doing too.
When you wake up, like, just try to grab the dream back.
Yeah.
A lot of times I wake up in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning, mid-dream, and I write that sucker down because I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
And when you start to do that, you start to dream more. So even if you just have a dream about a cat, write the dream down and write the details of the dream down, because I can feel, smell, taste, like everything. All my faculties are there in the dream state.
Yeah. Have you ever, like, researched your dream? Like,
yes, I do. Girl, Google down.
Do not Google your dreams.
Really?
I say do not Google because Google is coming from what? It's coming from a digital system, a digitized system that cannot interpret, or somebody else's thought and opinion of, oh, you had a dream of a feather. This is what that means.
Like every one of them and, like, try to interpret, like,
you're trying to do that, but what you really need to do is, once again, go within and say, you know what, if I had a dream about, I'm just say, a birth, or I had a dream about water that may be representative of what a baptism state. Like, maybe I'm about to enter into a new era, a new period of rebirth of some sort. Or as a rebirth, maybe a birth, if I'm having a dream, what was the person, and I just recently realized it's like, and I feel like it's another importance to talk about the dreams of the children so that you can share to them how to interpret them correctly, because that's what the elders used to do when we was little. Like, oh, you had a dream about that, then this means that. Oh, you had a dream that, and it's like, this is a lot, So in a dream, like, okay, if I dream about somebody being pregnant, what was that person? What color were they wearing? What did they have? What were we celebrating? Or we sad? What was the energy being about? Being able to recognize, like, okay, they were wearing this color. We was, everybody was happy. Or if I had a dream that somebody, like the other night I had a dream that somebody had a surgical procedure. But all these people come into the room and singing happy birthday, including me, and we celebrating. So it's just like, what happens during surgery?
Yeah.
Like, you having a major transformation going on. You having some type of healing when somebody has something being transplanted, emotion or something. So you just start to
believe dreams are
they
another
mean
part of, like,
something
spiritual. But you know what is crazy now that you said that, I think about it? Like, it is crazy how our elders, They just always knew everything
You
about
dream about
everything.
fishes?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, when your grandma tell you, yeah, you dream about fish, that means somebody is pregnant. But it's just like, how do you know that?
It's just like, hey, maybe that meant that, but in the aspect of this, like maybe it could mean like abundance too,
But
like
somebody always
something.
end up
That's
getting
true.
pregnant though.
No, that is true. One time when I was younger, I did dream, and then a couple of days later, that's when my cousin announced she was pregnant. I was like, and you know, hear me, I'm like, ooh, yes, I'm really tapped into the spirit. I'm prophesying.
I promise at this. Yeah, I think that when you go to sleep, like where do you go? Because the consciousness leaves the body. And a lot of times when you come back into the body and we say, oh, there's a witch riding your back and you can't get up, like you haven't fully reconnected to be able to get up.
That one, a witch riding the back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a demon riding you when you didn't
Yeah,
woke
the
up
devil.
and you can't move and you like I can't move, and you can see yourself and you can see around the room, but you can't physically get up.
God, that's horrifying.
It is, you know.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
So, and what I think about too is like when they put you to sleep for surgery and
Yeah.
people wake up during surgery but they can't move and they're in their paralytic state, but how they able to in layers put you to sleep and make you unconscious. So it's just like,
Yeah,
you know,
wake up and they sleep in surgery?
yeah, they wake up and they can feel everything, but they can't move
No.
because the drug that they give you to lay there in the paralytic state to not move, you know, that's operating. But the propofol has worn off, and now you up, you wide awoke, and nobody's
Shit,
paying
now you
attention to your
feel
vitals.
it.
Yeah, just make sure I'm out. Some people have that where they metabolize anesthesia really quickly.
Yeah,
they burn it off. Either maybe they calculated
Hell
your wrong
nah.
body weight. You didn't gain.
You got to give me a double dose of anesthesia. I don't want to
I
feel
do
a
not want to go.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. So yeah, when you go to sleep at night, you do go into a different realm.
Yeah.
A DreamWorks. What's that? Monsters Inc.
I was just about to
that
say.
movie. Actually, that movie has
That
some
movie
layers
is
in
actually
it.
pretty good.
It's really good in how they harness that adrenochrome from the children, and that's something else. That's for another topic. Oh gosh, but yeah, when the kids go to sleep, they go into that room. They put that in a lot of movies. They put a lot of truth in the children's movies.
Yeah.
So you just
They
have to
Yeah.
be aware of them. But we'll just jump back on topic so we can stay on tangent, because I'll go off and we'll be sitting here before. Well, I guess we'll go into the emotional reset and go into those boundaries. If you ever just feel like you smiling all the time, just emotionally paralyzed, state, just I don't have nothing left. I'm here, but I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like that song. My mind is here with you. No, my body's here with me. But your mind is on the other side of town.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I've definitely felt like that
Yeah.
many of times where I'm just like, oh, okay, like I'm kind of all over the place. Again, like that saying, like I don't know if I'm coming or I'm going. Just practicing emotional stability. Like that is like a real thing to where you don't feel just too. I'm also just a very emotional being. Like I probably could like cry at the drop of a hat. Like,
Yeah.
Like I could probably sit and think about something just like random and just like really like.
I feel like for women, like we have to, because emotion is how you get things in motion, but it's how you channel it. So it's just like emotion, having the ability to have emotion is just such a powerful tool as a woman, because that just kind of aids in that ability to manifest things, and how the emotional attachment to it allows you to manifest very quickly or very slowly, depending on the feeling behind the thing that it is to be desired. You know, so that's a good thing in a sense. But when you realize, like, when you look at a man and like how controlled they can be in a very like stirred up situation, the calmness that they bring, like they're not as emotionally inflicted like as we are. Like, we're like, oh Lord, the baby that fell, and he just like scooped the baby up and like what?
I know. I was
He's
gonna
okay.
say, like,
Is
have
he
you guys
crying?
ever met people like, even if you had like a man or a woman, like friends who are just like they don't really have like many emotions. Like, you know how like sometimes even in friendships you have those friends who like, it's like they're just not the people, like they don't like to get like all mushy cause you talk about it. And you're just like,
are you on the spectrum?
Like who
are you on the
you?
spectrum?
Like, where is your
You know,
show me
they
some
emotionally,
emotion.
yeah, you do have people that's emotionally
Some.
dead. A lot of times too, they just don't know how to openly express those emotions because they've been taught to suppress them. You know, why are you crying? Only girls cry. You know, it's okay to cry, but it's, you know, nurturing that in a sense to where you're not overly feminizing the male, but letting him know it's okay to cry. Like, get that out, and then we're gonna get back to business, because what crying does is it releases toxins. Like, those tears have chemicals in it that if you just completely let it build and build and build, those chemicals sit in the body, and like I said, it can cause rheumatism. It can cause a plethora of health issues because you never, you know, let that shit out.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't even realize, like, after you have a real good cry, like,
how good you feel.
Like, how good you feel. Sometimes, like, you just need a good cry, and you're like, okay, like,
that's the emotional
release. Like, you don't even know, like, you just cry and just like let it out. Yeah, you just needed to like let it out. I don't understand how people like don't have, or just how people keep it so bottled up, which, like you said, I think is something that just like culturally it's like we're taught to like suppress, not talk about stuff. We got to be strong, we got to like whatever, and I really think that's not healthy, you know what I mean, because you keep stuff bottled in so much that at one point when it gets too bottled up, you're gonna explode, and that's not healthy, or explode, or like, you know, break down. But
no, I get it. And I guess shit, in that emotional release and all of that stuff, I think we should go back to the boundaries with the emotional reset part of it. You know, I just stopped being so emotionally responsible for everybody.
Oh yeah,
that's like with everything else, like we talked about, as black women and having to carry all these all this baggage. That song Bag Lady was really for us.
Yes.
Look, I just thought about that. That was really for us.
I just listened to that. Well, it came on the radio the other day, and it's so funny you said that, because when it came on the radio, you know, I'm just like really listening to stuff that when you listened to when you were younger, you didn't fully, like, you were just singing the lyrics. But now listening to it, I'm just like, you know, when she's like, you gonna miss your bus, you can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. And it's like, that is just so real, how all that back, like, you're gonna miss where you're where you're going. Like, you're gonna miss like where life and God is trying to take you, because you can't leave that shit alone. Like, you
I can have compassion for you, but you gotta bear your own cross. Like life gotta be your own lesson, because you get tired of just over talking. That's another thing. I'm telling you, like, you know, that's not the right crowd. You don't need to be hanging with that person. I don't want to see you get hurt. Like, this is, you know, you need to do this. But these people, you talking to people, they're not listening, you know. But they ask you for the advice. They're just like, man, like, I don't want to see you in that situation, because you don't have to be. So
people don't really be wanting advice. They just like,
they don't.
They want to vent. They want to like, they want somebody.
They don't want. And for those people, it's just like, you know what? I'm done over talking, but I'm done over explaining at the same doggone time. Because look, I said what I said. I'm not justifying it.
Okay.
I said what I said. Like,
that's it. That's all.
You can't feel guilty for taking time out for yourself. That's another thing I used to do. Like, oh, you know, I could be doing this with the kids. Like, I need to be doing this with them. It's Saturday. It's the one day we get off. It's Sunday. It's the day we get off. I got to do X, Y, Z. I'm like, I'm doing all this. And like, no, I just need to take time off and just step away. Sometimes it might not be a day. You might need a week. Yeah, you might need a month.
No, seriously. And that's okay, like you said, because who's pouring back into you if you're pouring out and giving so much to others?
An empty cup.
You can't pour from an empty cup. And it's like, it is okay to, you know, it's like you said, it's like you don't want to miss every moment with your kid. But then when you think about it, you're like, I got a little bit of time, you know. But I do believe, especially like when you have so many different roles to play. It's like, you know, mother, wife, friend, business owner, sister. It's just, it's a lot. And so if you're not taking a break and really taking time for yourself, you can't give pieces of yourself to everybody else.
What's for the kids anyway?
Yeah.
So they see my mama just broke. Like, you broke in. Shoot. Cause just imagine, like, if I was in the state last year, like, just imagine if I didn't take that time, I just kept going. Like, I'm already on E, but I'm just gonna keep trying to power through. Yeah. The car just eventually just not gonna start. You got the key in the ignition, you got gas in there, but it's just not going nowhere. I would still be on that couch looking at the wall. I don't know why that scene from Precious just popped in my head. Monique sitting on that sofa. Yeah, I don't know. Great. Reed, y'all have any feedback on this? Like, just feeling guilty for taking time off for y'all? Y'all just taking this in?
Me and my boyfriend, we was just having that conversation not too long ago because, like, 2 months ago, I was like by his house almost every day, and like usually on the weekends I usually go by his house, but like y'all know I had my car and I was using his car, so like I was just staying over there for like 2 months. So once I finally got my car, I'm telling him like I want to be home now, like I want to be by myself, and he's thinking like, you know, I did something to him, like, you know, what's wrong, like did I do? I'm like, no, I just want to be by myself, you know, I just want to be in my own bed, you know, just.
Let me tell you something. I've been married almost 13 years. And I have my alone time that's necessary to bring balance. It becomes suffocating to constantly be, you know, with somebody, under somebody. And for me to listen to my own thoughts and my own, like, what I need, I need to be alone in a state. So it's just like, it's okay.
I've experienced that too. Like, there's just nothing like having your own space. Like, it's so funny because when you think about relationships, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be up under somebody, until you up under somebody every day and you're like, actually, I need my own, you know, don't you got somewhere to go? Like, don't you? Like, I need my own time.
But you know what? I grew up with my grandparents. They had separate bedrooms. And it was just understood, like, that's mama room, that's papa room, but they love each other. But as you grow older, you just need your space. And my grandma needed her space.
I always thought that was like crazy when people were like, oh, like we have, but honestly, now as I'm getting older and going through relationships and that,
I get it.
It doesn't seem like such a crazy idea to like live together but still have our own separate rooms.
Like we coexisting.
We coexisting.
We cohabitate.
We have the common spaces, but you know, every now and then you just need like your own space, even just like to, because I'm sure, like you say, you've been at your boyfriend's house, so it's like, especially like, you know, living with a man, it's like women and men do things so different. So it could even be something as simple as like, oh, the way you line your stuff up in the bathroom, like, you know what I mean, you line your stuff up in the bathroom, like, it's
especially if, you know, I just my mom would say that, like, when I was a kid, because I was probably kind of suffocating. I was always, hey ma, what you doing, ma? And like, I'm getting it back now through my daughter. I was always right there, but my mom used to say, I just need a minute. Like, she in the bathtub, and I used to sit on the floor outside the bathtub saying, what you doing, ma? I hear the water, it's splashing, you taking your bath.
I used to do that
you know, like, what the hell? Like, can you get from out the door? Like, as a mom, like, and she would always say, I just need my me time. I'm not being mean. I just need some time to myself. And you think about, like, mom would have been at work all day dealing with these knucklehead people.
Exactly.
Dealing with, you know.
Dealing with you, you know.
Dealing with you.
I just need a second to breathe.
You know, as women and moms, like, that bathroom becomes a place of.
No, now I really realize, because my mom, I feel like that's why I love bathrooms so much, because my mom has always been a bathroom person. Like, I can remember she's always loved, like, a bathroom. And so that, like, was just embedded into me.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, now I really realize, like, the bathroom is like a sacred place. When you need a break, you just put a sigh and that.
It's a
like,
sanctuary.
Are you okay in that bathroom? Yes, I'm fine. Please, I'm fine.
It's been 3 hours. I'm good though, because I didn't brought snacks in here. I got my music. It's been 3 hours. Who is counting? Because I wasn't, you know. But yeah, so yeah, it's normal. Tell your boyfriend, he good.
Yeah, he's good. Like, I mean, it's also kind of like,
he's still young too.
It's kind of sweet though that
I'm
he
sure.
is like, oh,
is he young?
It's almost like he don't want you to leave.
Oh yeah, he's still young.
He like don't want you to leave. He's like, oh, did I do something? Why do you want to leave? that is kind of a sweet feeling. Though.
Why?
I feel like,
why does it sound like Winnie the Pooh?
I don't know why.
Oh my, that was cute. It's important too. I'm looking at some of this stuff. I'm gonna detach from people with the quickness at this point, with the swiftness.
I say all the time, like, I feel really blessed that, like, I have a very, very supportive and tight circle.
That's necessary.
But I feel like I've also done the work over the years to make sure that it is that, because people know
that
like,
it doesn't get infiltrated with the wrong.
Does not get infiltrated. I will cut you faster than you can even say the word sisters. Like, I don't feel anything about cutting any and whomever needs to be cut, because you really don't realize how the people you surround yourself with, they're like, it can really make or break you as a person and your growth. So I'm very intentional about like my circle and like the people who are around me.
Some people just thrive too on chaos and confusion and pettiness. going back to the healing part, for those type of people, you can't help them heal. They will drain you with all that toxicity. So I stay far away from those people. You have to interface with them at some point, of course.
Yeah.
But as far as in my circle is so small, it's probably the size of a Cheerio. I've said that before. It literally consists of my immediate, family, and I'm good with that. At one point, I used to say, "Well, what's wrong with me?"
Yeah.
I don't have no friends, and I was like, something must be wrong with me. But I'm like, you know what? I was pretty much groomed for solidarity. I was the only child.
Yeah.
And I was alone for a good period of my life, and just being in the singular class. And it's things that I've gotten comfortable with doing myself. I take myself out to eat, I go to the movies, go on a date, and I'm okay with that.
I love, like, even having, like, my circle and having my friends, like, I love to hang out with my friends and people, but, like, I love alone time. And I'm somebody, like, I've always been able to, like, I'll go out to a restaurant by myself, like, movies by myself. Like, I do a lot of solo activities, and it's honestly, like, the best time. Can you imagine, like, you get to do exactly what you want? You don't have to go pick nobody up. You ain't gotta. You don't have to think about them or their sensitivities.
You're moving on your time.
Like, you're moving on your time. It's like that is the best thing. I love solo activities.
I like it, but you know what? It's just like, it's something when you out and you're doing your own solo thing that people feel sorry for you. Like, I didn't ask for you to come and join me. You ever get those people that just say, "Come and sit over here by yourself,"
or do you want me to come along for the ride?
Okay.
No, actually,
no.
My mom was like, she was like, "Oh, do you want somebody to come along with you for?" Oh, absolutely not. Like, I'm really looking forward to this drive by myself. I have the playlist that I'm like, absolutely not want anyone to join me.
Song over and over again.
Oh yeah. One song about 4 times.
I do that. I'm gonna dissect this song like, ooh.
Yeah, like, I was like, I absolutely do not want anyone to come along with me for this drive. As a matter of fact, I'm not answering the phone.
Yeah. Because if I want to have a concert in the car.
Yeah.
It's
like,
that's therapy.
Alone time. And I think a lot of people like I often tell my mom, like, I don't think she's comfortable with sometimes, like, alone time, like, because she's, like, she's such a vibrant and big personality, and she, like, she clean, like, she's like a magnet to, like, people, which is like, that's her gift, that's her blessing. But I'm like, girl, you don't always have to be doing something.
It could be scary.
You don't always have to be doing something. You don't always, like, I don't think she understands what, like, stillness means. Like,
but you know
she's
what?
always moving.
I think that too, like, as our parents get older, like, that aloneness, it gets a little scary.
Yeah.
It's just like, wait a minute, it's a little too quiet.
Yeah.
Because think about, like, for people who have a noisy house with a bunch of children, the house is always loud and it's noisy, and you have kids and you're used to having a child or whatever it is, or family is always nearby, and now it's just quiet. It's just like, wait, it's just a little bit too, that quiet can be, it's a different level of quietness, and I don't like it. So it's just like keeping her in her sense of normalcy, and like, this is just what feels right. So I think about that too, because my mom is the same way.
Yeah, our parents are very, like, honey, like, could talk to a wall, like, literally does not need anyone around to, like, she would just, like, talk. But it's like, that's the thing you love about her, because she is so vibrant and she brings everywhere. But sometimes I be thinking to myself, like,
that's an art.
Mom, like,
it's an art, because today I'm gonna say it's a dying art, because people today, they are just so engulfed in the they're not
that's true.
Yeah, they're not socializing. They don't know how. They've lost that ability to even.
This digital world we're in, I tell you, I think it definitely has something to do with it. But yeah, that's true. That's so true.
So I guess we can just start to wrap it up and just kind of go into having the mind, body, and soul sync, having those things in sync, and you can track the growth of everything without obsessing over it, not having these ruminating, obsessive thoughts.
Yeah.
Obsessing over stuff from firsthand experience, I just really feel that it overheats the mind and it just fries it up.
I agree. You get completely overstimulated, overwhelmed. I've also tried to really, like, learn, especially as I'm going through this whole, like, pivot and rebrand of, and this evolution of growth, it's everything doesn't need to be fixed at once. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think sometimes it's like, especially like for like high achieving people, like everything has to be tackled at once. Like,
that is me.
Like everything gotta be fixed at once.
In one day. And then that's what the term Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
And just keeping that in mind.
Exactly. So that's how I've been trying to like not obsess over the growth or like what, just like focus on one thing at a time, or maybe like two things at a time. But it's like, and I truly do believe like you fix this and it's gonna like bleed into that, and then it's all, like you said, it's all gonna end up syncing up together. But I think a lot of times we feel like you said, like we have to fix it all and it has to be fixed right now, and that gets overwhelming. Like seeing your whole, you know what I mean, like when you're like, right now I'm also going through like a physical and fitness,
you're doing really good too, by the way. I saw that, I was just like,
the journey and the struggle is where I am tracking it.
You have to, because
it is real. But it's like when you're doing that, and then you're also, it's like you're going through a professional shift and a spiritual, it's like, sometimes it can all be overwhelming. So it's just like, let whatever is gonna take root down, and like just don't try to like overwhelm yourself with a whole 7 day process. Like everything has to be changed within 1 week.
Yeah, but you know what, I was like that. And like you were saying, you're on your fitness journey in work and careers and things like that. And I feel like once you have the mind is disciplined enough to say, hey, you know what, I want to be healthier, I want to be fit. That's me right now. I would say I want to be fit by 40. And not just fit, I want a six-pack when I'm 40. Like, that is my goal. Not a dream, it's a goal. It's happening.
I know, that's right.
But in that, I have had setbacks when I talk about it, but like, you going and working out, and you have that mental discipline now. You go in the gym, like, okay, now I'm starting to see the body changes, and in that your attitude changes.
Correct.
And now that your attitude has changed, you're carrying yourself with this new poise and the way that it's just like going to attract that perfect career. It's like, no, I wasn't too old, I just wasn't ready for that career just yet, because hey, now where I'm leveling up to, it requires me to carry myself at a certain way that I didn't before.
That's
when I was at
true.
this in this chapter.
So you unlock new levels of like confidence too, because I think that's what I'm realizing. Like I've generally always been a confident person, but you don't realize how you gain a new level of something else. And so that, like you said, that gives you the confidence to do X, Y, and Z. And you feel good. I was telling someone the other day, like, sure, it's a thing about appearance and an aesthetic thing, and you can call it vanity or whatever, but I really do believe that cliche saying, like, when you look good, you feel good.
It's true.
And it's like an internal thing, right? You feel good internally, so you feel good about who you present to the world, yourself. Like, it's a whole mindset shift. It's not just like losing the weight, it's like your mindset is shifting.
Losing weight is I'm here. Losing weight, though, it requires so much, and I think that's why a lot of people just give up on it. And it's important to remember, hey, I didn't get like this overnight, so I'm not going to lose 30 pounds in the next 10 days before the wedding next weekend that I knew I should have been, if I wanted to look a certain way, I should have been gearing up for this. That it requires new habits, new discipline, new focus, new routine, and implementing that in my life so that I can acquire this new body. And what I have noticed is just along the way. So you know what, I'm gonna say this. Last year I was a certain weight, and I've gained 20 pounds since that. And I say, you know what, it's all about your viewpoint, your perception of things, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to treat this as I've gained 20 pounds. To have this new label to it, I'm saying I've been bulking. So I bulked, and now I'm about to hit this cut button. And in the cut, I'm just going to lose the 20 pounds again, because I did it before and I can do it again. And, so I just get really hyper focused, and I get back in the gym. But the bad habit for my setback for me is just like diet. And I will allow myself, like, today was a bad day, and I already started eating before my eating window and like fall into that. So I just end up on a binge, and I know that that's, it's too much. But And it just like throws, well, I binged, and now what's the point of going to the gym? You know,
Yeah.
I've already binged. But it was like, okay, if I could just stay on track, and that's what I've learned to do. Like, okay, even though I binged, I'm still gonna go to the gym.
Yep, that's
And
literally was my thought process the other day, because I realized, I was like, oh, okay, like I had a bad day of eating. I didn't work out because I went somewhere. But I just thought to myself, okay, you know what? Like, yesterday was a bad day. It wasn't like
the end.
The end. It's like, you know, I can always start again the next day. And it's like, just to not sit and wallow in those periods of like, you know, what we think is like a failure. Yeah, okay, like yesterday was a bad day, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad week. It's not going to be a bad month. Like tomorrow I can get
only
right
if
back
you allowed it.
Only if you allow it. So it's like, you can easily get right back on track. Like, but I think that's also, like you said, that's where that discipline comes in. So once you set yourself to be disciplined and you have a routine and you are very committed to yourself and your process, then you can say, okay, this is not going to be we're not going to let this bad day and this cheat day or whatever, we're not going to let it linger into a cheat week and a cheat weekend.
And cheat month, and then you just fell off
Exactly.
completely.
You just then fell off completely. Like, no, it was a cheat bad day, and then tomorrow we're getting
and
right
like we mentioned too, don't wait until Monday. Don't put a date on it.
Yeah,
like,
don't
just,
put a date
just
on
do it right now.
Just do it right now.
Yeah, I messed up today, but if you haven't made up in your mind, like just like the first day of school for the kids, you know, that first day of when you going on vacation the next day. You ever go on vacation, like you just instantly jump up and it's like, oh, you didn't even set an alarm, but your mind know you're going on vacation. You have a subconscious clock.
It's crazy.
And you just jump up. So it's just like, you know what, have it set in your mind, so you wake up with that momentum to just go, you know, hit the ground running. And that's just important. Don't have those obsessive thoughts, because they will just send you on a downward spiral. And yeah. So I think that was good. I think that's it. We can wrap it up, and just knowing, I guess we can close it out on knowing growth is something that starts within. And the transformation is a holistic transformation. It's not just say I'm gonna pick this one and leave the other one alone. And then new you requires patience and attention. So the new you is not waiting in the future. She is here right now.
She's here right now.
And she begins showing up every time you choose a thought, an action, a response that aligns with your higher self.
I love that.
She's here. You just have to like meet her now. It's just like, and that's what I want to do. I'm just like, okay, let me meet this new version of me. Y'all saw what was that? Was it Ant-Man? That was an Ant-Man, but the multiverse, and when they have the Spider-Man and the multiverse, and I have all these movies with the multiverse. I like all these different versions of Spider-Man and all these different versions of, so it's just like different versions of yourself. And it's just like, have a like, if you gotta take a picture of somebody out of a magazine and stamp, put your head on it. Like, I mean, that's the old school Chat GPT copy and paste. Like, I'm gonna put.
That's so true.
So that I can actually get a full vision of, envision, you know, what I see, what I want myself, what I want my body to look like. And I feel like just getting a good body is not just about, like you said, vanity and things like that. It's also representation of a spiritual, you know,
absolutely,
a spiritual level up, mentally leveling up, you know. So a lot of people you see that are just like fit, you just automatically say, hey, they must be successful.
Right.
They must be knowledgeable of something, you know, and you just become the most interesting person in the room that people just kind of naturally gravitate towards. And for me, it was just like, man, I don't have any people that I personally know that are fit at, you know, like fit. I see them on Instagram. I see it, not Instagram, YouTube, because I watch a lot of YouTube. You see them on television, but who do I personally know? And I couldn't think of anybody. So I'm like, why can't I be that?
Yeah, I'm about to say, you can be that person. Yep.
So I'm just want to become that person. And
I love that.
I was, sheesh, when I started out in 2023, that's when I really like looked at myself, and I'm like, God, I'm getting out of hand. I was 210 pounds, and I was just like, I don't want to be like this anymore. You know, I can feel it. Like when I sit down, I'm getting up and I'm moving too fast. I'm like, why are my joints starting to get inflamed? Arthritis? Like, no, you know, so it's starting to combat like physical ailments too, and blood pressure. I didn't want to have those things ride on me going into 40, and just like, oh, you're gonna need some medication, and you start looking like everybody else. They got, you know, the hair is thinner.
Exactly.
Things
Not
like
over
that.
here.
Yeah, so it's like it starts with a change of what I'm putting into my vessel, and with how I am physiologically exercising the vessel to strengthen it, and that just goes across the board with life, prayer, journeys, all that stuff. So yeah, you gotta do it. So
we're doing it, y'all.
We're doing it. So you have anything in closing, Lauren?
I mean, I think you've summed up a lot of it, but again, like I said, you know, I think we're all in this stage of becoming, and I think the best thing we can do is just like let the journey unfold. Like, you know, I'm very excited to like meet my future self, and it's like, you know, I'm forming her now. Like you said,
it's never too late,
now.
you know. So yeah, I'm just like, I just wish I knew all this sooner.
Exactly.
So y'all take note. Like, I just wish I knew this sooner.
I know. But here we are.
Yeah. I'm like, or did I? Was somebody telling me? No, nobody was telling me this stuff when I was younger.
No.
So yeah. Quay, Bree, y'all have anything in closing?
No, I feel like this was a great.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
This
was great.
Yeah,
really
I
great.
enjoy this.
Lessons was learned.
Lessons was learned. So yeah. All right, y'all. Hey, if you want to support us, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And that's it.